I'm with Max from Hivemind. What? Max, what are you doing here?
Yo, what's up, Car? I am so excited.
Just
where is Kim? Yeah, I think he's probably coding.
Max, what's
going
on, dude?
show.
What's going on?
I am so excited to be here, man. I have to say, well, first of all, you know, I'm a big fan, not only of Stacker News, but Stacker News Live. So,
woo! Did you hear that, Keon? We got 2 fans now. My sister and Max.
There you go, baby. Yeah, no, long time listener, first time caller. It is so awesome to be here. I have to say, you know, I've come and seen PlebLab maybe like once or twice a year for the last couple of years, but you guys have taken it to another level. Like this is the place to be. It's fucking awesome. Like,
it's everybody else. It's not one person. It's like Nifty. It's like Keon. It's like Topher. It's like everybody. Yeah. Like everybody. It's like, yeah.
Well, just a shout out, if anyone hasn't come to PlebLab that's listening, like, you got to make the pilgrimage. This is the Bitcoin capital of the world. And just the energy here. I've been here for the last couple of days.
Yeah, dude, it's been great having you.
Yeah, man, you're super cool. It's got me set up with a couple podcasts. Yeah. My experimental ideas from the edge will hopefully come out. I got 3 episodes.
To listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, just spending so much time, like so much energy, so many incredible builders. Like, man, just the vibes at PlebLab are off the chart.
Well, dude, you're like, I said this before. You came in 21 when we were just in that office, like that little 7x7 office, and you were like one of the coolest guys I ever met at that time. And then I was like, Keon,
low bar then.
I was like, Keon, who is this guy? He goes, oh, he's a VC. I was like, what? He doesn't like, you don't act like that. You don't talk like, you're just a real normal dude. And that's what I love about you. And then you just tell it like it is. Like, you don't sugarcoat it. You just like, no, this is what I think. And it's like, dude, builders need to hear that. So,
well, I appreciate it. And I mean, I view, you know, the chance to get to be part of projects like Stacker News, and like obviously my little world, like, you know, I play VC on TV or whatever, but I truly am like a fan. Like I truly am a believer in decentralized technology. I want to see a decentralized Hivemind forum, and yeah, I mean this is, you know, one small role that I can play in it. So yeah, it's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's been great. So what have you been up to this week? Is it just all the consensus things, or?
No, actually, I try to stay as far away from that as possible. But I'm staying at the hotel where all the consensus people are, or I just checked out. Mm-hmm. And so that was like, you know,
anything interesting that you've seen over there, like, or?
Absolutely not. I mean, the one interesting thing was seeing Graham from Voltage. He was there.
Boss,
so that was kind of cool. But some guy was trying to pitch me on some new shitcoin thing at one point. I was like, I can't, I don't have time for this. I'm sorry. But I did, you know, one of my, I guess LPs, someone that I work with, you know, he was having something here. So I went to, you know, to come chat with him, and it was a great excuse. I've been wanting to come to Austin for a year now. So, anyways, it was good seeing him, but the highlight has definitely been just hanging at PlebLab. You know, I've met new builders who I think are fantastic. You know, obviously, you and Keon are the OGs, but it's cool to see like the new crop coming in is very talented.
Really talented, right?
Yeah. And then the podcast, you know, everyone should be on the lookout. I've got some rips coming up with
where's
Mr.
that
Keon,
where's that website at?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't even have a website yet.
Oh, you don't have a website yet? Is it going to be on Fountain?
It's on Fountain, yeah. If you look up Ideas from the Edge, Hivemind Ideas from the Edge on Fountain, I have 1 episode. So it's, you know, it's pretty early. But
okay, cool. We'll check it out.
It's a little experimental, I would say.
Nice. Oh, there it goes right there. Boom. Yeah. Stackers.
There you go.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, you did one with Stu?
I've only done one on there so far. Nice. But the Stu episode is quality. Stu's a quality thinker, but I'll say Keon and Tony and Christopher, they definitely stepped it up too. So
yeah, really outside the box thinkers there. Cool. Check it out, everybody who's listening. We'll post the link in the show notes, or Wumble if you can post the link to the show notes. And then yeah, anything else they can get in touch with you for? Like what would you say to the average like builder who's doing a startup, like wherever, USA or wherever in the world? Should they just reach out to you directly? Like what's typically the?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, so just in general, I would say the things that I'm most excited about right now are, you know, obviously Bitcoin and Lightning are great, and I've been doing that for years, but I'm very excited about Nostr, obviously, and I published an essay that you guys talked about, I think, a couple weeks ago.
That's good.
On Nostr as sort of identity layer. So I'm really interested in, like, once you have reputation, what you can do with that in different kinds of apps and having interoperable data. And then the other thing I've been really exploring Ecash. I think seeing the multi-nut payments from Cali with Cashu has got me excited. Tony was further Fediment pulling me and around some of that stuff too. I think both are very interesting. And I would say maybe one mental model shift that is, kind of evolving for me right now is, Lightning Network as the glue between a whole bunch of different kinds of banks. If you think of mints of that, so potentially Cashu mints, Fedimints, fintechs like CashApp. And I'm still bullish and excited about fully non-custodial in the long run. I think that's definitely a problem worth solving. But if you go back to the Hal Finney original Bitcoin Talk post, right? He was already talking about free banking back then, and I think this has a chance to be free banking on steroids, and I think it's pretty cool. So I was not like a big Ecash person. I still would not say I'm all the way there, but I'm increasingly Ecash build. So.
Yeah, definitely check out Max's writings. They're all bangers, dude. I think the one that really blew my mind was where was the AI one? Is it this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this one blew my mind. Like, this was really good.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and I would also just say for the builders out there, I mean, one thing that, as I always say, I like to see people that ship fast, have good taste. Like, I'm interested in seeing people can iterate quickly. I'm also interested in, just back of the envelope. Are you in a big enough market? Is there a rough business model where it could make sense at scale? But increasingly, some of the advice I would say is I don't underestimate the importance of being with the right network and other builders. Totally. And I have to say, and so selfishly, I don't want to give too much away, but I am hopeful that we're going to get something going in San Francisco, a place for the builders to commune there, because we need that. But I have to say, like, man, I get it. Like, if you're a builder and you're in a place like PlebLab, like, it just makes sense. Like, you get so much help, like, just talking
the network effect.
Yeah, like getting feedback, like users. It's like early YC days, and I don't think anyone should underestimate what you guys have here.
It's so much harder to build on Bitcoin, Max. Like, it's really hard. Yeah. And sometimes you just need that, just the camaraderie, the support system, the stuff that YC used to talk about, or Paul Graham used to talk about. Sometimes you just need a guy to say, hey, you're doing a great job. Like,
now you guys are doing a fucking phenomenal job. Yeah. Like, phenomenal. So kudos. I'm curious, maybe one question for you. You've been doing Stacker News Live for all this time. It started off, you and Kean were just having fun. Now y'all are actually okay, like starting to blow up a little bit. What has been surprising for you over watching this whole journey with SNL, with obviously PlebLab, Stacker News? Yeah, I mean, you've been there for the whole thing. I think,
I think coming in it, I was talking about this with Keon earlier. We had a conversation for like an hour before today. And I was telling him, I was like, I think coming in as a journalist on the media side really helped me a lot. Because in the early days, I was just trying to help my friends, whether it was Nifty or whether it was Keon or Tony, whoever it was, I was just trying to help them with like their startups or projects and just trying to write about it and just learning more. And I think coming from that and then working with Marty obviously helped me out a lot. And then just being at the right place at the right time here in Austin and being very community focused. But I think I'm just really impressed with everybody and where they are and where they started. I consider myself super blessed, Max. Like, I'm completely blessed. Like, I'm a really dumb guy, like really, really dumb. And I know how dumb I am.
Car's being humble.
But like, I get to hang out with geniuses basically all day. And like, that's just going to level you up. It's like playing in a band and you're like the worst bass player. Like, you're just going to level up. So it's been really cool to see the journey. And then as far as Stacker News Live, I think we just did it just because Keon wanted. Did you want to do it?
No, you propositioned me.
Oh, yeah, because we were trying to do like a Dignation thing. Yeah, we were trying to copy Dignation.
I started doing a newsletter, and then you were like, let's do a podcast.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to take me up on the offer, but I haven't missed an episode.
No, you guys are every week, rain or shine, Stacker
But
News
actually, I think it started off in the beginning. Now it's kind of evolving into more of like a builder community type of podcast, developer kind of podcast. And it didn't start off that way. It started off with just by reading the news. So,
yeah. It's badass.
Now you're on the show. Now we have VCs on the show. Look at us, Keon. We're moving on up. Yeah.
Word. Cool.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Max.
Thanks for having me, man. This is sick. Hope to be back another time soon. I'll definitely come back to Austin soon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and let me know if you need any help with anything. Yeah, we're here for you.
Likewise.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir.
All right.
So,
Let's get to the poor part of the show.
The poor part of the show? What does that mean?
We're not VCs.
Oh. What was he gonna say? How was your week?
My week was good. More people were here than are normally here. Consensus. So that's one aspect of what happened this week. But otherwise, it was a normal, pretty fine and dandy week. Yeah. How about your week?
It was pretty short for me. Like, came in. I'm still getting over that cold thing, and I feel like I finally got over it last night. It was really good. We came back last night for remember I told you we went on a retreat or whatever, and then we came back last night and we kind of saw each other again, like the brotherhood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool to hang out with everybody and like genuinely miss people that you spent a few days with. And so I think
you probably got really close with them, right?
Yeah, dude, because you're like sharing your like bonding and stuff. It's really cool. And then, there's that was really cool hanging out with that last night. And then it's been a really good week. I think just seeing all the new interesting people that have come through the lab and all that stuff and obviously Max being here is just like another alpha brain in the room that you can bounce off ideas, which I don't think people, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. He's like a repeater for the Hivemind.
Yeah. So I think I think seeing all that, and then we've had some other interesting people that I won't dox come through, and cool stuff.
Did I meet them? Did I see? I
think you met all of them, but I don't want to dox anybody.
I did run into quite a few interesting people.
Cool. We're gonna jump into the top 5 stories of the week here on Stacker News Live. If you've never seen the show, Stacker News is the front page of Bitcoin, and it's voted by you, the stackers. You guys control the narrative. The narrative. The stackers control the narrative. It's kind of wild to think. Like, I mean, I know you use an algorithm, whatever, but like the incentives do matter on Stacker News, and this is where it's going to be really interesting to see how this kind of plays out this cycle with kind of like the Nostr stuff is doing their thing, and then like Stacker News is doing their thing, and it's going to be really cool to see the shift that goes from influencer kind of focused narratives to like Nostr user focused narratives, or Stacker News user focused narrative. I think it's going to be really interesting because it kind of levels the playing field as far as like what Bitcoin is talking about. At least that's how I see it. But we're going to cover the top 5 stories. It's going to get really spicy today, but hopefully we'll.
I mean, I haven't spiced anything, but I know you have some spice.
Maybe I'll give you some pumpkin spice. I think we'll just cover the top.
It's not even fall; it's spring.
Oh, is that only in spring?
No, pumpkin spice is exclusively a fall thing.
Well, maybe this is a basil spice. Wait, no, basil is not a spice. No, it's a mint spice.
No, it's a
spicy mint.
It's an herb. Actually.
What do you call the Olive Garden little chocolates they give you? Maybe it's one of those where it's just like kind of spicy.
Those aren't spicy though.
I feel like they're spicy.
I mean, they're peppermint chocolate.
Yeah, maybe it's like a peppermint podcast. This could be a peppermint pod. The first top story is summarizing my thoughts on Ecash. This is from Seth for Privacy, May 30th, Bitcoin territory. 70 comments, 5,596 sats. Keon, what's this?
This is a post from Seth for Privacy. Seth for Privacy writes a lot about privacy stuff and has like a pretty well-developed opinion. Is not a Bitcoin maximalist, but even Bitcoin maximalists respect his opinion on privacy stuff, and it's frequently featured on Bitcoin podcasts for that reason. And I think has a pretty great mind for privacy things. Anyway, he's been kind of bearish on Ecash, and so this is a post from him explaining how he thinks about Ecash and why he is bearish on Ecash. And he lists it out. It's pretty well written and concise, but he thinks that for one thing with an Ecash mint, you basically have a custodian or a federation of custodians that for their sake they want to stay anonymous, but for the person who's giving them sats for Ecash, they would prefer to know their identity so they can hold them accountable. And so there's like the bit of a mismatch of kind of what people want there. He says it's not really self-custodial. Like a banknote is not self-custodial. It is, the banknote itself is a bearer instrument, but ultimately you have that bearer instrument because it's it's redeemable at the bank for what they're custodying for you. He lists a bunch of these issues he takes up with it. I think one of his bigger gripes with Ecash is, especially when it's argued from the perspective of being a privacy tool, is that he doesn't want to use privacy tools that sacrifice his custody of what the asset that he's gaining privacy of. And that's basically what he would have to, like, using Ecash exclusively as a privacy tool. That's kind of what you're doing. And he says here, sacrificing custody to get better privacy is a non-option for me. And then, he says I don't think I don't think he has any malice or anything. And he even says that in here. I think he's just trying to kind of help, assist people in thinking about Ecash. And I think all perspectives on Ecash, especially as more people pursue it and use it, are good to have.
Yeah, I think. I'll save my comments till afterwards. But
we have another post right after this about Ecash too.
So for the snacker, the top comment from the snacker was Bitcoin is awesome. He says, if you have 10 years of purchasing power locked away in a well-tended cold storage, why worry about having a week's worth of purchasing power in an Ecash that allows you to perhaps participate in a citywide mint that you're currently visiting? This entire post seems to imply that people, even already Bitcoiners, will be attempting to stash their entire Bitcoin net worth. This stuff, which is frankly absurd. He goes on to say more, and then we had the follow-up to that, died on Titan. He says, came here to essentially say the same thing. Not if you're using a mint and Ecash tokens for pocket change. I'm fine with custodial wallets for small quantities of money for easy and quick transactions. Your wallet here on Snacker News is custodial, is it not? SN rugs you, are you bankrupt? Stuff like that. So I think it's a lot of the same narrative, or not narrative, a lot of the same comments we've been seeing everywhere else. Whether you go on Twitter or Nostr.
Some of them are. I think if you actually do read some of our Ecash comment threads, they do. I have seen a few perspectives that I haven't seen elsewhere. Scoresby highlights some of them in the next post.
We can go to the next one. So the next post was from Scoresby. He says the title was, "Why can't you buy Ecash from a Cashu mint? This is a Bitcoin territory, May 28th. Scoresby post 133 comments, dude. 133 comments, 27,000 sats. Obviously, people want to talk about this. I think that's safe to say, right?
That is very safe to say. People are talking about
people
Ecash.
Want to talk about Ecash.
I think I had 5 or 6 conversations about Ecash just this week alone. It seems to be on everyone's mind. I think the Samurai stuff accelerated it. And then Phoenix pulling out of the United States accelerated it. And so now everyone's talking about it. And Bitcoiners, more so than they have anything other, like their second biggest asset they hold is opinions. So they're kind of flexing them in this post. Anyway, Scoresby's post here is and Scoresby has written in the past about Ecash, and I think does a good job of like finding the little thing that might make a difference in understanding it better. And here he's basically saying some of like one of the issues he sees with Ecash and some of the confusion it creates around it is this like kind of redemption aspect of it, where you have Ecash, but it's presumed that you can at some point later redeem it for Bitcoin, and it's not. That's not. That is not guaranteed. It requires trust. And anyway, I think it's best said in a section somewhere in here that I'm gonna have trouble finding now. But he's basically wondering if at some point Ecash is going to be better than just this redemption mechanism. Is it possible that you spend sats to get Ecash because Ecash gives you extra benefits over the sats that you otherwise had, and maybe it makes it like the current use case for it is it makes spending a little bit easier in certain contexts over what we can do on Bitcoin, but maybe our could the eCash itself have value that exceeds the value of the Bitcoin, or makes it at least worth in the eye of the person who's buying the eCash, makes it worth exchanging their Bitcoin for the eCash, and that might be interesting. But then is it a shit coin? It just like brings up a lot of interesting questions and subtle ones, and ones that people have a lot of thoughts on, as the comment thread shows.
Yeah, Tony had the top comment. He says, I've been struggling to try to open minds to this possible framing. I will say it's easier for myself personally to reason about it when the eCash issuance is based upon a network with a single issuer, though it could be argued that it's the same either way. It's possible the value of it's always exactly 1/1 of the underlying pegged asset. It's also possible it's worth more during times of high demand, such as when there's high chain usage. We can't perfectly specify exact value between two assets because it's always based on free markets. And then it goes on to say more. BTC Manual says, I'm all for new tech, but I still feel like I need to see a commercial use of it. Will people use these wallets is my question. The goal was to make certain trade-offs to make custody simpler, but I don't see that yet. Who will be spinning up federations or mints apart from exchanges or a few Bitcoin businesses? Then the third comment was from Justin, who we know is very anti-eCash. He says, eCash is an authentication scheme, not a currency. Bitcoiners associated it with Bitcoin are scammers, and it's a shitcoin they're selling you. It has a single use case, authenticating you to a server. There may be rare cases when someone wants to trade for your account on a server, and it allows for that without a database entry. Again, and then goes on to say more. It's a really interesting thread because you kind of do get a whole sense of how the community feels, just like in a post. So I would, if for anybody who's just a Stacker News listener and interested about how the community feels about eCash, I would definitely come check out this post. You get a little bit of everything, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's our last eCash post. Did you have other things you wanted to say about
Yeah,
eCash?
I think the other one, I just want to bring up this one. This was another post. This is not in the top 5 stackers, but somebody posted, hey, just want to know what's the votes on this. And then you kind of, I haven't.
You haven't voted yet. What's your vote? You got to do it right now on the air, live on the air.
I don't want to pick one.
It's car bullish.
I don't want to.
I know it does. It does pigeonhole you. Into one or the other.
Because at the end of the day, for me, like, I can separate like two different sides. Like me as a Bitcoiner, like my Bitcoiner privilege, because I think this kind of goes to the whole thing. I don't think people realize just how privileged we are here in America when it comes to Bitcoin and finding Bitcoin early and being privileged to have Bitcoin. Like that's a privilege. It's a blessing, and people should realize that it's not a right. It's your own responsibility to figure out how to use Bitcoin. It's everybody's own responsibility. Sure, we could help people, but it's to not think it's a privileged network and we are privileged for finding it early and all this kind of stuff. We are very lucky, like very, very lucky. So I will say that. I don't necessarily think I personally would never use eCash until it's like maybe I see you do it first or see another entity do it first. I think there's several ways how this could kind of play out, and I'm going to talk about them right now.
You don't use Mutiny Wallet because they actually have a pretty popular eCash use case in Mutiny Wallet as it exists already. And that to receive to a Lightning, you get Mutiny Plus when if you don't have a channel yet, you can you get this Lightning address that people can send sats to while you're offline, which is really eCash tokens, which at any point you can redeem. If supposing the mint doesn't go offline, you can redeem for sats, open a channel, use as if you convert it into Bitcoin, and so that's already an organization kind of using it, and I think that is serving that is something you can't do with a mobile wallet otherwise. Like if the eCash mint weren't there, so is that?
Yeah, I think for me, like it's kind of like, why would I just use Zeus? It kind of goes back to Zeus, like how well do you understand Bitcoin? How well do you understand Lightning? Like all those type of things. This is where I go back to the privilege thing. I think we need to be honest with ourselves and say, like, Lightning Network is a privileged network. Is it always going to be that way? I don't think so. I think over time it will be easier. But I think we just need to be honest with ourselves about like what it is that we're actually like, how lucky we are to find this technology.
You can use Zeus, but Zeus does not allow you to receive while your app is not open. They will if they have, they will hold liquidity on the network on a route for you. So you come online, you can redeem it. But if you don't come online within whenever that payment expires, that money will never get to you. You will never be able to redeem it. And so it's not Zeus. What Zeus's implementation of this is not at like feature parity with.
Yep.
There are trade-offs between them both is mostly what I mean to say. Not one is better than the other, but they are distinct things.
Yeah, I know. I get all that. I think this is just where I'm trying to get to, is where like this other post just came in the 24th, but it's called The Paradox of Bitcoin Adoption. This was from Did He Play Well? This is not also in the top 5, but I think it just goes well with everything here. He says, there is an unsolved paradox in the path of Bitcoin full adoption. It will be stable enough to massively adopted only when it gets stable enough to get massively adopted. Since the mass of the population that makes up for the full adoption cannot afford the unavoidable volatility caused by the move itself towards adoption, thus hindering itself by the same action of trying to adopt it. This couples with the fact that even a stablecoin based in Bitcoin do not allow for a computable transition. Fiat can be indefinitely multiplied, causing Bitcoin to be virtually internally unstable in fiat if the state wants to. I have my solution to this paradox and we'll be posting it later, but for now I'm interested in your thoughts about this. And this is kind of where I'm at, is like this kind of thing. It's like, it's the chicken before the egg thing, right? Or it's the egg before the chicken, wherever you want to see. Go read this post. But what I'm trying to get at is, if this is what we're battling here, like if we're literally just talking about Bitcoin adoption, like if that's what we're really talking about here, I think it's a much bigger problem that's not going to be resolved by any one of us. And I think it actually goes back to even 2022. So let me show this stuff real quick. So there was an Ecash bill that got launched in 2022. It never got passed, but this was right around the time when, and you can go and search all this stuff, it's here. This is right around the time when Biden was issuing, executive orders for developing digital assets. Because what you have are two different sides. You have the CBDC and you have Bitcoin, right? And we're not going to do a CBDC in America. Like that's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen with Bitcoin post-Bitcoin ETF. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to adopt Bitcoin. They're just not. And so this is where we kind of get into a place of like, we need to find a middle road. And this is where I actually think Ecash probably makes the most sense here, is the middle road, is trying to create like a framework for the United States. And I think it's all here. Like there's comments, there's threads, and this is where it's great to be.
Is there Ecash mentioned in this?
No, we strictly talk about the CBDC. And this is where I kind of go to, like CBDC's it's just not going to work in the United States. But there can be a way where we can transition in a somewhat middle road there. And I think Ecash is going to be that option. And this just kind of goes back to what I've been saying for a while now. I think if a bill gets passed, an Ecash type bill gets passed, I think then it's full game at that point. Everybody can run their own mints and everybody can create, you know what I mean? To a certain extent, there will be some clarity around that. But I definitely think that's probably where we're headed. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think that that's just where it kind of that's just where we're skating to. It's better than a CBDC. It's not quite Bitcoin, but it sits somewhere in the middle. And I think when you start doing a little bit more research and you trying to figure out what the United States is doing when it comes to the CBDC stuff and the risk of it, they do understand that there's a really bad problem with having a CBDC. Even Coin Center talked about this in 2020. So that's what I'm trying to say overall. It's not necessarily like they're going to come in and take over and it's going to be bad for everybody. I think once something like this gets passed, because it will happen again, like there's a new cycle coming. And I think there's a little more clarity for Bitcoiners. I think then we could start seeing some of these Ecash federations really start taking off. And I think that's just kind of where it's headed. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think that's just the way it played out.
Oh, that's interesting. So it sounds like you think the next era of American banking is, in a world where maybe Bitcoin isn't completely criminalized and, kind of banned out of the United States, that the next generation of American banking is an Ecash.
It's the middle road.
Ecash banking system.
It's the middle. I mean, it's not great, but it's the middle road. And I think this is the conversation that no one wants to have because they're embarrassed by it. I don't know why. It's not embarrassing. It's just like, I just think we just should be honest about what we're talking about here, like where it's actually going to. And I think this is where it's actually going. And I think that's why you see a big push in this direction. It's clearly not a stable coin or a CBDC, but it's not quite Bitcoin either. And I think that's probably where it fits most perfectly.
I think the only thing I would say that is competing with that vision is the idea that these Ecash transactions are really private. And I'm not sure that doesn't fit within the paradigm of like the existing banking system view, the oversight that they already have. I don't see them like sacrificing that. So I don't think so.
I think if I had like if all my time was devoted to journalism like it used to be, like I would write this article and it would come out and it would fully explain everything. I just don't have that time anymore. I'm sorry, Stackers, but somebody else does. You have all the content there. Go out and do the research and connect the dots. It's really easy. It's all there. It actually makes more sense when you think of it in that kind of framing.
Do you see this as like a prediction of the future, or you think you're revealing something that people already know is going to happen?
I definitely think there's I can't be the only guy thinking this in the world. So I think there's already talk about this somewhere in somewhere. And I'm not the only guy that thinks like this. Like, I can't be.
But is it a prediction, or is it are you uncovering the plans that someone has? Is that what do you think it is?
I think it's just where it's headed.
Okay, so
it's an obvious it's kind of like asking, like, could you have seen where Bitcoin was going for an ETF? And you're like, yeah, obviously we're going to get an ETF. Like, when is it going to happen? I don't know, but it's going to happen at some point in the 2020s, right? This kind of feels like that. I do think
I thought it might never happen, to be honest. But.
I think it was totally going to happen. I think the Ecash thing is going to happen, and it's probably going to happen at some point this decade. It'll get passed, and that'll be that. But post Bitcoin ETF, Keon.
Well, I think that's pretty bullish because it would mean that, especially if we're using these Bitcoin-backed eCashments, then that would be bullish for Bitcoin in addition to financial privacy. So that's not. I think that's
why I don't think
better move than what
I don't think anybody will go to jail for doing an eCash federation in America. I think you have a better. I mean, I shouldn't say the other part. Actually, don't listen to that.
Well, if you're
redact that part. Everything else you can keep. Redact that part because actually that's not.
I mean,
right.
You're the producer of this podcast, so you'll decide what gets redacted.
No, it's live. It's live. It's gone live.
But
I think it makes more sense because when you look at it, like the Tether is already doing this, right? Like it justifies something somewhere where maybe there is a eCash equivalent of a Tether or maybe it's Tether itself. Who knows? But there has to be some kind of give there. Because look what Tether's been able to do over the course of however many years it's been. And I think that's just that's a valid argument. If when you look at it from just like, hey man, these are all the cards that are on the table. I'm just showing you all of mine. This is where I don't like where people try to psyop people into things. It's kind of dumb. It's like, you kind of see that with eCash a little bit too, where people are like promising the moon and the world with it. And it's like, no, let's like slow down. Like, this is what happened with Lightning, where you promised the moon and the world with it, and we're not quite there. So, like, that's where I would say is just like, hey, everybody, slow down. Like, let's wait and see. It's still early, but also keep in mind that this is probably headed in a direction that I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad for Bitcoin, but I know it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think the point that you make about the middle, where like the government maybe wants the CBDC and the people maybe want something more like Bitcoin, and maybe they can agree, but I don't see what the government gets out of an eCash system. That's like kind of where.
Yeah, I don't know. That's somebody else to do the research on that. I would imagine they probably get. So when you really start doing the research, you find out they have an ECIP, which was money that was distributed back in 2022 or 21. I forget which year it was. But this all went to credit unions and it was around community banking. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine some froth there has made its way around these things. And that's all stuff that you would have to go research. And this is where I kind of wish, for me personally, I could go back to doing like that kind of in-depth analysis again, because that's the stuff I used to be focused on, but I'm not so much these days. But those kind of things that you uncover can be really fascinating once you kind of go down that rabbit hole. But I definitely think there's something there. I don't think I'm entirely wrong about that. I think I'm like probably like 30 or 45% close what that what's actually really going on behind the scenes. But
Well,
that's Cars Alpha Take this week.
Bam. That's a spice drop.
I don't think it's that spicy. It's just
I know,
people are going to be like,
You
oh wow,
you
this
said it was
guy's
spicy.
this guy's crazy. The next top story is explain Lightning Network in a simple analogy. This is from Darthcoin. 19 comments, 3,715 sats. Bitcoin beginners territory. Wow, when did you get a Bitcoin beginners territory?
Oh, that's Siggy. Siggy runs that
Oh,
one.
boss.
Yeah, he runs Bitcoin beginners and books and articles.
Did you read this one?
I did read this one. Yeah, so Darthcoin uses like kind of a water metaphor to try to help people understand how Lightning works. We have a lot of metaphors that get used in Lightning. I like a bar tab. Other people like they have an airport analogy. Other people have like an abacus type analogy.
What's an abacus again? Is that a plant?
It's like a device that allows you to like move beads to count on a string. You move like beads on a string to count. But he uses a water one and tries to explain, and it goes a little bit deeper than most analogies do in terms of explaining the Lightning Network, trying to, having a metaphorical object or device for a UTXO, having one for an HTLC policy. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It should assist some people in thinking about these things for the first time. Because it is a relatively complex system and can take absent an LSP, kind of like thinking about these things for you. There is quite a bit that you need to be.
Shout out Darth. Look
conscious
at
of.
this. Like, go to his website, darth-coin.github.io. He has general, beginner, wallets, nodes, merchants.
He's revamped this
so
recently,
good,
right?
man.
He's made it really
Thank you for your
even
service,
simpler.
Darth. I don't say that enough, but thank you for your service, man.
He is really doing a serious
doing
job.
the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. Stackers, check it
Do you
out.
think the Lord is on our side, Car? I was hesitant to say the Lord's work. Do you think? I know you've been thinking about this stuff more than I.
I think God places people in different ecosystems, and it's up to the individual to want to bring that part of it to his daily work. And I think regardless,
As long as you're working for good for what you.
No,
feel
I
is
think
good,
I think there's a lot of people in like the Brotherhood that are like, some are game developers, other are like accountants and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and so I think you just how you represent yourself, I think, is and your values and stuff like that. I think really
okay, more so than the.
Yeah, but I think in Bitcoin it's a little bit different. People tend to have that without any sort of religion or anything. I think just naturally that I've seen. But, I don't know.
All right, yeah, just a random question I had.
Taft said, "Great guide. It means that Darthcoin's injured middle finger is recovering." I don't mean to laugh.
Was his middle finger broke?
No, dude. I had messaged him or I tagged him on something. He showed his finger. It's jacked, bro.
Ooh, he
It's
showed
like
a picture
super.
of it?
It's like super
No.
jacked, dude.
Okay.
Darth. Mine actually
where it
is
went.
broken. I don't know if you can see that, but my finger is actually broken because football when I was a kid
Oh,
just never worked. I can't get it popped.
well,
So-
it healed.
But his
wrong.
actually got chopped off.
Really? Oh man, he must have smashed it.
Have
while
you
he
ever
was
met a
building
guy
his
with the
Citadel?
chopped finger before?
I don't think so.
Those guys are tough motherfuckers, too.
One of my baseball coaches was shot a couple times.
My shop
like a
teacher
drive-by.
was missing all his fingers in middle school.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. Those saws, boy, they cut through bone as well as they do wood.
Yeah, shout out Darth on this one. This is a
Shout
good one.
out fingers.
Boom, 1,000 sats, baby. The next top story is CashApp has inactive LNAddresses endpoints with npubs pregenerated.
Impregnated.
Oh, whoa. With
Jack is
npubs.
impregnating us with no stuff.
I know. With npubs, CashApp is impregnating. All right. npubs pre-generated for every user. This is from Bitcoin PlebLab devs territory, May 28, 24 comments, 3,367 sats. Keon, what's this?
Yeah, so it would seem that CashApp is is going to support Lightning addresses soon, which is pretty awesome.
Did they not already?
No, I thought for a long time they had, because
I thought they did too.
Like 6 months ago, I got a Noster DM from one of the CashApp devs, and he's like, "Hey, I think there's a problem with your Lightning addresses." And then I got back to him, and he's like, "No, it was an issue on our end." So I knew they were already working on it. I thought they'd ship it by now, but they haven't.
I mean, they're kind of losing the zap right at this point, dude. Right? Like,
oh, I don't know about that. They're a totally different thing. They're like a custodian,
man.
Regulated, and
why would
billions of dollars already.
Yeah.
But
ship fast.
I think they're different in a different category. Anyway, but the Lightning addresses it appears to be, they're like nearing the point where we're actually going to have Lightning addresses as Cash App users. And then additionally, it looks like they're ready to support Noster and be support the Zap spec of Noster, so that you can use your Lightning address on Noster and have the Zap show up to your Lightning address in Noster.
This
apps.
is breaking news.
It is breaking news. Bitcoin
Wow.
Pleb Dev broke it. I don't know how he found it.
Is this the Bitcoin Pleb Dev?
That is him, indeed.
I know.
I haven't seen him. I don't know.
I know how he found out about it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's been
partying
at
He's partying at
Consensus
Jack's.
with maybe.
I mean,
Jack's,
he did just get a job at Voltage. Maybe he's hanging out with way cooler people now. It's
Oh,
possible.
inevitably. Have you seen how cool Graham is?
Yeah,
Graham is
very
so cool. He's like a painting. That guy.
He has a nice beard.
Yeah, it's a nice beard. Everyone works at Voltage is that way. You also got. I don't want to name names, but they're all.
This segment is sponsored by
not by Voltage, because they haven't given us money yet. All the positive things I would say, I'm not going to say until we get some of that Voltage money.
Killian Bunn said, "Wake me up when every Square POS gets an LNAddress. We're waiting." That's never going to happen. So,
what do you mean?
It's never going to happen. You think no? That's never going to happen.
Why are you so bearish on? They have a Lightning address.
It's
That's
not
pretty,
possible.
Can you imagine like Coinbase with Lightning addresses, or I don't know, Visa?
Because Jack said he was going to do it like what 2 years ago at Bitcoin conference, Mars, and that never happened.
Oh, the POS thing.
Yeah. So it's never going to happen. There must be something going on behind the scenes.
He did very
No,
confidently.
but I'm trying to say like there's probably something else behind the scenes that, I mean, I have a feeling I know what it is, but it's not my business, so I won't say. But feel free to say what you think it probably is, Keon.
Oh, well, I think it's that we're not. We'll get into this when actually we cover Leo's travel blog, but I just don't think it's ready for in-person, real-time payments, because it's, we haven't. I feel like things haven't stabilized like all of the wallets and the differences among.
It's because we haven't
them.
rolled out Ecash yet. Maybe that's what.
Oh yeah, I know that's. I don't think that's the real thing.
That's a joke. Yeah. Good post.
Yeah.
The final. This
awesome.
is the final one. Next one.
I think so.
The final Stacker News post of the week is Bubbles to Live In. This is from Elvis Mercury, a legendary stacker. Mostly harmless territory.
Legend.
29 comments, 21,500 sats. What is this?
Yeah, this is kind of fun and pulls in, I think, several kind of ideas, both like curating a physical space for yourself and like a physical world for yourself that is distinct and perhaps better than the external world that you don't control, but also a mental space and curating that, and not just exposing yourself to whatever whirlwind is going on online or whatever the algorithm is deciding. And it's just kind of sharing some general thoughts around that, and that he feels like he's fallen short of doing that for himself to date. I think Elvis tends to kind of nag on himself in terms of what he's accomplished or how much he's done, but it sounds like he's trying to level up in this regard, and he shares a few interesting articles here of other people who are doing this. One is an economist. This one in particular is really, really good. Because most of how we describe the like negativity of social media is in that it's like it's making us like vain and shallow and like sucking all of our attention and kind of wasting our time. But it's making a point that it's actually like, it's not so much that like the bigger crime here is that we are like losing empathy and becoming like dickheads as a result of using social media so much. And it's the point is like subtle, and I'm having a little bit of trouble.
Is he just strictly talking about America, or is he talking about like the EU and like other places around the world, or does he ever say like specifically where he's talking about, or no?
Well, this isn't Elvis who wrote that post. That was that woman wrote that post, but Elvis is mostly talking about this is like, it doesn't really have boundaries nationally. It's mostly like you should be concerned about, like highly concerned about the information you're intaking, the environments that you're in, and making sure those are like well suited to you because you have control over them. And then maybe not feeling like you need to be so exposed to everything else that's going on outside of like the areas that you have control over. And that's, I think a very healthy thing to engage in. We
have Ohm. He says, how did getting off Twitter, paying no attention to sports, and planting sunflowers got framed as an escape from reality? To me, it looks like we're moving towards reality. Os Mercury said, this comment gobsmacked me, but there's something deeply true in it. And yet, like Niels Bohr said, the opposite is also a great truth. The way of being adopted by most of the surrounding world is reality for most workable definitions of reality. Interesting stuff. Is that the Ohm? Do you know who I'm talking about? Ohm?
I don't know who Ohm
There was a
is.
guy who used to write a very important tech journalist. I forget. I don't know if it was called Ohm. I forget what it is. Maybe it's that.
I think it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the same guy. Probably.
I don't think so. Ohm, I believe, has been on Stacker News for a while.
It's weird, like that guy, Ohm's here, and Evan's here. It always makes me wonder if those are the two guys. They're just like.
I think those are pretty. I mean, it's 2 letters. There are only so many combinations of 2 letters, and there are lots of people.
Anyways, yeah, I think for me, everybody we talk about this all the time. I think we had a party earlier this year. I won't say which one it was, but a lot of us local Bitcoiners were kind of talking about this in like a conversation. And I won't attribute to who it was, River Rule, right? But
River Rule?
Oh yeah, it means like you just leave it wherever it was at. What I would say
like
for
when
me,
you drop a body in the river. I don't mean to interrupt you, but like, what is the river? I've never heard that euphemism.
Yeah, it's too hard to explain. Anyway, okay. I do think there is something to be said about finding your own community and then finding peace and understanding there and living for others as opposed to living for yourself and impacting for the greater good type of thing. But I think that just kind of goes down to the individual itself. I think there's some people very satisfied doing these things, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think. I just think if you want to make a change, then you just kind of have to be the person that you want to be in the world, and lead by example, and you'll likely those people usually stick out, and you'll likely find other people like you. Like, how did we meet? Right? It was like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna find like-minded people because you are that person. Just, am I making? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say is like, be the person you want to be. If that's what the change you want to make for yourself.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think it requires quite a bit of conscious effort I think you do have to, be the person you want to be but you also have to be it publicly. It's not enough to say to yourself, I'm this person, and expect other.
But why do you have
people
to say it publicly though?
So that the other people who are like you can find you. What I was going to say is like, I had to consciously move. I had to I lived my entire life in California. I had to consciously make a decision to move away from California so that I could be around Bitcoiners. And so it wasn't happening as a result of me wanting to be around Bitcoiners in California. I had to begin acting in accordance with like what I wanted to see happen. and make my own luck in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so. I think there has to be some public display or you have to put yourself in motion for it to like count.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, how do you do it when you're the only person in your town, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is kind of tough.
You're gonna try to convince people that money is broken.
I mean, that's why there's places like Stacker News, right? And
that was that was the main
Nostr,
motivation. Yeah,
and like some of these other kind of
alternative social media
yeah,
platforms,
alternative sources, social media. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it makes me kind of feel sad for those people in a way.
Well, I wouldn't feel.
I mean, because like if that's all they have is like Twitter and like YouTube and Facebook and some of these things that are not good for you, right? I mean, not all of it, but you know, vast majority of it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's the easiest way.
These are two heavy questions, I think, for one individual to answer. I feel like this is like a Jordan Peterson question. You know what I mean?
I don't know if he could answer it today. Maybe like,
but even he's admitted to being
well.
very ego centric. You know, for like what he does. I've seen podcasts where he talks about his ego and why he does the things he does because it attributes. I forget how he said it, but he was saying like, they're like, how do you feel about the celebrity that you built, these tours that you do, these books, like all this stuff? He goes, well, it's helping people, and I keep doing it because it keeps helping people. So I'm impacting in a good way, but does that feed the ego? I think so. And he starts talking about how, I guess, in his way of reasoning it, I guess. So I think it's kind of like that too. It's like maybe there is a positive to being public if you're helping people in a way. I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer he's looking for, but
no. I think it's more. I think. I don't know. I would definitely recommend reading this post and then reading the attached articles. I don't know. I think that Medium article is maybe a Substack is really onto something about. It's not so much that we're depressed as a result of seeing people who are in better positions than us. It's much more so that something about this is like removing our empathy, removing kind of more meaningful connections with people and kind of turning us into shitheads. And it's ubiquitous now. And that is what the future, well, whatever generations are coming up in more direct contact with that are going to be primarily left with is like what human culture is.
Yeah.
And it's shaped by an algorithm. Human culture is shaped by an algorithm.
That's interesting.
And who's shaping the algorithm? The companies who are willing to pay to advertise in it.
Interesting. I'll check it out. Gross. I didn't know it was that deep, but
it's subtle. It's like subtle, and I think it's only like really scratching the surface, but I think there's really something there.
That's all the top 5 stories of the week. Really good round. A lot of Ecash stuff. There's a lot of Ecash offensive. How do you say, like, it went on the offensive this week, the Ecash stuff. Big week for Ecash this week.
Was it?
Shout out to all the Ecash,
certainly on Saturday.
Ecashers out there. Shout out to them because it was a big week for y'all.
Ecash drop this week.
I'm just gonna bring this up. I thought this was really interesting. This kind of ties into what you wanted to talk about with the where was it at? The Trump one.
Oh yeah.
Trump says he will commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. We're seeing at least Trump begin to speak to crypto people, and you know, maybe Bitcoiners are definitely a subset of the people they're trying to talk to, and I find that kind of interesting. And then this came out from Molly White. We did another. She was in the top 5 last week about the Tornado Cash privacy stuff.
Dude, that's crazy.
But I recommend subscribing to Molly. But she does a lot of these great pieces that involve crypto, and she's a crypto critic, so it's kind of nice to get that outside perspective.
Yeah.
And it's not fluffy; it's fairly deep. But she kind of summarizes what's been going on in this year's election cycle with a bunch of crypto lobbying groups are getting, now that their bags are fuller from the latest bull, like the beginning of the bull run, maybe they're beginning to maybe spend quite. They're beginning to spend quite aggressively, and she points out 115. It's like what, 137 million. Has been raised by super PACs that are like pro crypto, that are from pro crypto groups or whatever.
Everybody's trying to get their ETF passed.
Well, they already got passed. I mean, we got the Bitcoin one, the one of the Ethereum. Was it one of the Ethereum ones
Ripple
or all
ones,
of them?
soon Litecoin, soon all the shit coins. It's all happening, Keon. Post Bitcoin ETF. This is what you get.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting There's like some interesting things that might follow. Like, is this good for Bitcoin? Is this good for Bitcoin? Like the values that Bitcoiners hold in terms of like privacy and self custody. Will this produce meaningful results for like in terms of those values, in terms of laws that kind of protect those values?
I think it's too early to say.
Yeah, but the fear is that these lobbies are serving mostly to protect the casinos and like make the regulations nice for the casinos and not really for the individual people. But maybe they can't help. The casinos can't help themselves without helping individuals, and that's like the most optimistic view.
Yeah, it's definitely out of my. Yeah. Anyways, the next one is Mt. Gox. This is your other one, Mt. Gox.
Yeah, I don't really know much about any of what's going on here exactly.
Then why did you bring it up?
Because I think it might be. It's kind of interesting news. Is that this thing that happened in 2013, so long ago, where so many people lost their Bitcoin? They're apparently like the trust, I guess, or whatever that holds it is beginning to pay out people who lost their money. Somehow they recovered it or something. I haven't been following the story very closely because I wasn't on Mt. Gox and I don't, whatever. But they're beginning to pay it out, and it's a lot of Bitcoin, and it's amazing because a lot of these people thought they lost their Bitcoin forever. Can you imagine getting sent tens of Bitcoin, which back then was probably worth probably a couple $100, and now it's worth a bajillion?
No, I can't imagine that.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, check out Darth Coins. He has some must-watch stuff there.
Learn about you can learn.
Yeah,
about
I guess
Mt.
it's
Gox.
kind of one of those things where I feel like every cycle you just regurgitate the old stuff to introduce the new people coming in the space of the. It's like what do you call that? I don't know. What do you call that? It's like those people that do $1 million price predictions right around this time. It's the same thing like that. Like, it's
I think you'll expect.
It's like all these new people coming in. So hey, let's start doing these $1 million price predictions. These are the people you need to know.
Where Mt. Gox? Where's Mt. Gox? Oh, because Mt. Gox comes up every cycle.
Yeah, it's like
I see. It is like a funny thing that comes up every cycle where they're like,
yeah.
oh no, the Mt. Gox coins are going out. People are just going to dump them on the
$1 million
market.
Bitcoin. It's like, calm down, bruh.
Maybe
You've been saying that since 2014.
Maybe Mt. Gox will come back as an Ecash, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mount Ecash Gox. You never know.
Mt. Gox Cash.
The other thing was the El Salvador thing. What was this one?
Oh, this is great. So this is Leo has been sharing his basically his travel journal through El Salvador. Every day he's writing a post about kind of what he did. Mm-hmm. As far as I can tell, every 2 days he's changing locations in El Salvador, and he's kind of cataloging all the Bitcoin things he's doing while he's there. He started out in San Salvador. He says there aren't many places that accept Bitcoin there. And then I believe after that he went to Berlin, El Salvador. And in Berlin, El Salvador, it's kind of like a Bitcoin beach in that it's like a very Bitcoin focused place, but it's like more so in the mountains. And he said they have like a really great Bitcoin community there, and you can buy Bitcoin nearly everywhere. And then after that, he went to, I believe it's called Surf City. which is, I
So
believe,
he's been posting like every report thing here, basically.
every day.
Oh wow!
And then there are a bunch of. He came back and shared some pictures and all of them. But this is, I believe, Surf City.
That's
he said,
dope, dude.
He said the best place for Bitcoin he's been so far
Is where?
Berlin.
Oh, interesting.
Berlin and El Salvador in the mountains, but he hasn't been to Bitcoin Beach yet. He said that in general, he said the city has gotten a lot like cleaner, and a lot of the construction he saw the last times he was there has now been completed. But yeah, he's sharing pictures and stuff. He hasn't, over the next 2 days, he'll release I believe his Bitcoin Beach visit, which will likely be more Bitcoin stuff. But he talks about all of the issues he's running into where people say they accept Bitcoin and don't, or they accept Bitcoin, but it's like a huge pain. Then places he goes where it's actually quite smooth, and he's trying to use an ATM everywhere he go, a Bitcoin ATM, and find a new one, and which ones work, which ones don't, how do they work, which payment process, Bitcoin payment processors work well and don't. Yeah. Really, like a really great coverage of the whole situation.
Cool stuff, dude. Yeah. I love seeing the travel stuff that the stackers do.
Yeah,
this is like really cool.
Yeah, this is an awesome.
Good find. Yeah. And then your last post was the Ecash desktop wallet.
That's right. So the Mutiny guys released Harbor, which is a desktop Ecash wallet, which is designed to serve the use of or to give people privacy with their Bitcoin, where Wasabi and Samurai previously did, but using Ecash mints. And it looks like it's a very simple interface, very simple to use, and I believe it's built around all these privacy things. Like all they do is create the software. They don't run any of the other software it interacts with. But it's meant. I think their plans here are to make it peer-to-peer, Tor only, automate distribution across several mints, so you don't really have to trust any particular mint to not rug you. I don't know, just a really cool like Ecash experiment, I would say. And I like that they're iterating on like new things, creating new things.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share this video that we did here.
It's a great video.
Logan made a video for and
cadence, it was
it was good,
very tasteful.
So definitely check it out. Just want to bring that up. Logan's a legend. And then we have CASCDR. We did this last week. Uncle Jim came on and we did a live stream of CASCDR, which is making waves here in town, Keon.
Oh, I didn't even know this happened. Yeah. Okay.
CASCDR's making waves, Keon.
Oh, for sure.
It's talk of the town right now.
I mean, I think
it's like Mutiny Who. CASCDR's the big project now in town.
Wow.
It's true. I don't make the rules.
You don't make the rules.
This is just what I've heard. Everybody's talking about CASCDR.
We certainly are. We are talking about it.
You should check it out if you're interested in CASCDR. And yeah. The other thing I want to bring up is Clams, dude. People always say, oh, no one's building on Lightning. It's not fair. No, these guys are. Shout out to John and well, I don't want to dox the other guy, but you know who you are. Counting software for Bitcoiners. What do you think, Ian?
I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's really cool. I want to use it. I have not used it yet, but I would like to use it. It's a great meme. I saw their presentation at Top Builder, and I think this is very useful for Bitcoin businesses.
Yeah. I think they are. This is not priced in, I should say.
No,
this is not priced in.
I think they've done a great job. I mean, they built
gorgeous.
Built a fantastic in-browser interface to the core Lightning before, and now they're kind of moving on up to interacting with all these other wallets and providing like a more like a B2B kind of experience. And I think it's a really great idea, and I think it'll be very helpful. And I hope They have all the success that
John, if you're listening, I'm going to test it out next week. I haven't had time this week, but testing it out next week. You can get started. Snackers, if you're interested, check it out. They're doing amazing things. These are guys that have been building down this road for over a year now at this point, so they're ready. So if you're interested, check it out. Just wanted to bring that up because I don't think they get enough kudos.
Yeah, it's amazing how far they've gotten part-time. They've been doing all this part-time with families and full-time jobs, and they're producing this software.
This is the Bitcoin way. I mean, this is why it's hard to build on Lightning and Bitcoin. Like, this is what it takes. I mean, everybody in the lab knows what it's like. This is hard, but you know, as Bitcoiners, if you're fans of these products, you should be out there talking about it, writing about it, promoting it, freaking retweet it
feedback.
At the very least. Like, retweet it. Like, what does it cost you to retweet a Clams, you know, tweet? Like, it doesn't cost you anything, Snackers. Just like retweet it or share it, or you know, even if you don't use it, but just spread the word. It's not enough of these builders get enough credit for what they dedicate their lives to, or a portion of their lives to. The other thing is the top super something
super stat
segment. Some guy came in this week. He was like, "I'm so disappointed Super wasn't here." I was like, "Well, do you want to hear a story about him?" I just told him stories.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he was like they literally came in. It was a
just for Super
pleb that just came in just to meet Super, and he wasn't here.
I was talking to someone who saw him in his travels after he left PlebLab recently, and he was saying that people are just carting around Super like he's like a handbag or something.
He has his own people,
pulling him around everywhere.
He has his own people, Keon. Like, you should have heard what he told me. He's like, "Car, have your people reach out to my people." I was like, "Oh, sorry."
Who are his people even, though?
Star has risen. That star is not coming back down to Earth.
Are his people Nick Carter? Has he been training with Nick Carter?
Dude, that would be a hilarious conversation. Anyways. Top stackers of the week. Great Ruby. Undisciplined. Rsync, dude. Rsync, I'm just going to shout out Rsync, dude. Rsync actually, like, shares a lot of crap. Like, talk about unbiased stacker. He just shares everything. Shout out to Rsync for delivering the news every day.
I didn't know he was a developer. But
yeah. Oh, is he really?
Yeah, it said in his bio. I don't think he had a bio for a long time, but they share a lot of great content. So
Darth Coin came back with a vengeance this week. It was good. And then we got the most boring segment in Bitcoin, the Cowboy segment, which we still don't know who number one is. I have a feeling I know who it is, but won't dox him.
Okay.
Jerry Garcia.
Well,
David W.
Yeah, has this changed much?
Blockchain Boot.
Blockchain Boot.
Blockchain Boot.
Wow, Blockchain Boot's kept it on. Elvis Mercury has risen up quite high.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a lot of people have dropped out.
And then we got a Million Sat Madness, which I'm still calling Million Sat Madness.
It's monthly. Oh, I need to drop some sats in there. But I forgot to today. I'll do it after this.
TN Stacker. Look at me. I'm in the top.
Wow, you did pretty
12.
good, eh?
Yeah, I've been dropping news today.
That's awesome.
Web Poet. Look, even BTC Sessions is in there.
He shared a Mutiny walkthrough recently.
Kepford. David W. Even Geiger. Look, you got the Geiger.
Geiger
in there.
They have like a partnership with the University of Austin or something.
Oh wow.
They're like a $5 million endowment.
Justin's there.
Shocked it.
It was amazing.
Justin.
Amazing stuff. Keon, what are you doing this weekend?
What am I doing this weekend? I'm gonna continue to work on Stacker News.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do, and I'll do the newsletter. And I'm craving Japanese food. We've been watching this Japanese show about wine, and it's like based on a manga. It's pretty good.
Wine manga?
Well, yeah, it's about like a wine guy. I don't want to. It's it's kind of a convoluted concept, but it's a great show. And so I've been getting exposure to a lot of Japanese stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I really want some good Japanese food.
I think we got to go to Zapstream because like we're getting a lot of comments. I guess do we trigger people? So all
the
the comments here. Oh man, bam. Sorry for the listeners. So Darth said, hang on, here we go from the top. 117 says Zappy Friday. What's up, buddies? Darth Coin says Ecash is not Bitcoin, guys. Get over it. It's a psyop.
He was a little bit favorable towards Ecash, is my memory. When
In the
we
beginning,
first,
right?
Yeah, when we first started seeing a little bit of Ecash
Yeah.
stuff.
And then Darth Coin says, "Oh man, he's a shit." He goes, "Car, don't laugh at Justin comments. He's right. Take them very seriously."
Where was the mutiny shill?
He goes, "Low again, mutiny show. You guys are really biased, dude. I'm like the most unbiased guy I know. This guy maybe is more biased than I am."
I don't. What am I biased towards?
Coob, you are wrong. This can be run on persistent mode. Coob, please study more wallets before talking shit. Oh man,
I didn't mean to talk. I wasn't
and then he goes,
shit.
"Car, you got to accept the CBDC. Never." He goes, simple quotations. Then this is what he's at. He goes, "Car, Ecash is not a scaling solution. It's a full solution. It's a step forward to be." I actually think it's like middle of the road, dude. But that's for somebody else to write. I actually think it's the middle, and I don't, dude. Bitcoin only for me, but teach their own. Anyways, Keon, he's calling you out. You need to go learn some wallet stuff.
I don't know what it's true. I have not spent any time using Zeus, and it might have a way of doing offline receives.
I think the only thing
with.
I'm kind of offended is like he thinks I'm like, dude, I'm like the most unbiased guy.
I don't
Really?
think that's true at all.
Dude, there was people here. I won't say who they were. They were talking about Ecash, and I was just like telling them how I really felt. A lot of the stuff I said
it
today
doesn't mean you're unbiased. If you disagree,
no, I'll say it to your
people,
face.
that's like an independent thing.
Anyways,
But that means you have a bias that's different than other people's bias. That doesn't mean you're not biased. Everyone's biased.
I don't think I'm biased. And then Darth Chris says, Clams is cool. I tested it. The only thing I do not like is that it says taxable of it. Just pretend you don't see that.
Come from Kami Fora. Fuck this Kami shit's old bill.
This is awesome. I love this stuff. Let me go back to Stacker News. Anyways, then we got so many comments, dude. We're blowing up, Keon. This little pod that could is blowing up. This is what happens when you get Max on the show.
I know. I think Max brought all of his 4 listeners from.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then we got from the Zaps on Fountain. This is Vake. He said it would be greatly disappointing if Carr got so sick that he passed away. Oh,
what?
I still haven't taken out a life insurance policy on him. Who's that?
Oh, is that Ray? What is his name?
Vake. I wonder if that's my sister. And then Blockchain Boog says, "Get well soon, Carr." Zap.
Who'd you get? You got someone sick, didn't you? Who'd you get sick here?
I think Nick.
Nick got sick. That's right.
And then I think those are all the comments. Let me just check one last place. Oh, that poet.
Oh, it's sweet.
All right, cool.
Well, what are you doing this weekend? You didn't.
We got the Graphene OS workshop, so I gotta prepare that. I haven't prepared it yet.
You're doing it, right? You're giving the workshop.
Yeah, and then what else? What else we got? And then a lot of work tonight, and then church.
We're doing Hack and Tell.
Oh, we're doing Hack and Tell right now. It's here at 5 o'clock, but we don't stream that.
You're going to church, meet with the Brotherhood.
Is that what we're calling it now? Brotherhood? Yeah.
You called it the Brotherhood earlier.
I guess it is a brotherhood, sisterhood.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, man.
I think it's a cool.
I joined a cult, Keon.
Oh, I wouldn't.
I'm in 2 cults now: the Bitcoin cult and the
I think
church cult.
if you can get a cult without all the bad parts of a cult, you're winning. I think that's what you want.
See.
That's the ideal.
So for the stackers listening, this is episode 122. Let's see if Carr goes dark after this cult. Let's see how it progresses. 100 episodes from now, we'll see.
We will see. I mean, churches already have citadels. Churches are already citadels.
There was I didn't tell you this, but there is one thing that I learned from my retreat. That format, I'm definitely going to try to implement that somewhere. And I think it's such a great format. I'll tell you after the pod.
Oh, that'd be a great, okay.
No, I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah,
dude, it's like the best format I've ever seen for how to do something. Like, anyway, I have an idea. Cool?
Don't want to share it. Okay.
Yeah, not yet. It's still early. All right, stackers. Have yourself a great weekend. Go out there and find your cult and join it.
If this isn't already a cult.
Yeah, Bitcoin isn't your cult already.